We have with us Paul Clayton. He is the Director of Industrial Partnerships here at Milrem Robotics. Thank you for speaking to DD India and taking our time. From whatever we've understood, it is important to know that, the unarmed ground vehicles play an important role in the battlefield, as you just explained. When you talk about India, how keen do you think are the Indian armed forces when it comes to adopting this kind of tech?
So they're at the early stages. I think the war in Ukraine has accelerated that because they've seen an increase in use of unmanned vehicles and an increase in capability. And so that is probably where they were thinking probably of a 5 or a 10-year forecast. I think that's probably coming down into sort of like 2 to 5 year forecast of being able to do trials. And they're already trialing vehicles at the moment through to hopefully delivery, well, certainly by 2030, I would have thought.
How do you look at the Indian terrains, being able to adapt, or these unarmed ground vehicles being able to adapt in those terrains right now?
So first is the climate. So our vehicles have been tested from the very cold at minus 30 all the way up to plus 55 in the deserts of the Middle East. So climate-wise, they're very adaptable and able to operate. When it comes to different types of terrain, obviously mountainous terrain becomes more of a challenge. So high altitude does become a challenge. It has a small impact on the overall capability, but it's still able to operate even at higher altitudes.
20 years ago, battlefield warfare was different, as you pointed out as a former soldier as well. Moving forward, what all are we expecting in terms of technological advancements when it comes to unarmed ground vehicles?
Yeah. So we would always say that we're not looking to replace soldiers on the battlefield. I think war and conflict is a human thing. It needs to have soldiers there to be able to make the right decisions and to be able to, especially when it comes down to taking lives, etc. And they need to be there to hold ground and to communicate with the population. And you can't do that with a robot. But what you can do with unmanned ground vehicles is you can enhance that capability of the soldier on the ground. You can give it more and wider capabilities to be able to give more endurance so they can operate for longer hours in more harsh terrains. And it also allows you to be able to project forces and do the more dangerous operations using robots rather than humans, therefore reducing risk to life.
What are the challenges you see right now, and how do you plan to address them in the future?
So our challenges aren't so much with terrain, because we can deal with that. Our vehicles, this is the one that's operational at the moment, and it can operate very capably. And our next set of vehicles go up to 20 tons in weight and go up to 100 kilometers an hour in speed. So terrain is less of an issue. What we're doing, and we're seeing the biggest changes, is really in the use of autonomy. The hardware will increase in capability, but the autonomy and the intelligence of these vehicles will increase exponentially. And that is where us as a company, we're putting a huge investment into. So how do we think about the next stages of command and control, the next stages of autonomy, to have vehicles to be able to operate independently with a human in the loop, but still being able to do tasks and complete missions and then return back to base. It's that sort of level. That's where we're really pushing the next levels.
Well, Clayton, thank you, and all the best with all the technological work. Hope to see you again in the future.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.